So today's video is going to be about my favorite part of the prop making process, and that is the bandsaw work that I do on the hub. And it's just my absolute favorite part. It took me a really long time to get it down. So that may be why, because I worked so hard for it. But this is just some freehand bandsaw work, and I'm just cutting off all the extra that the lathe doesn't get. When I do this, the more accurate I can be, the less sanding I have later on. And if I mess up, or if I gouge it, or I do something like that, it's relatively easy to sand out and a relatively easy fix. But what it'll do is later on in the process, when I vertically balance it, it'll generally give me a hard time because I have removed material, which equals weight, off of, say, one side more than I have the other. So when I cut it, I try to be as even and symmetrical as possible. I have a few lines for guidance, but not many. I actually just have those lines around the hub, the actual face. But other than that, I don't have very many guidelines, except for just knowing how it's supposed to look. And this is a smaller prop. It's a 2 1/4 hub thickness, and these are actually a little bit harder to do than the bigger props. The wrist area or the neck area, however you want to look at it, or whatever you want to call it, is generally quite a bit smaller than your hub, so it's a pretty dynamic taper to go from one to the other, which makes it a little bit more challenging. So this is actually how the whole process starts. This propeller is made out of Purple Heart and maple, and I put a 6 1/2 inch face on this one, and that's actually called an SAE2 bolt pattern. So I mark that out, and then you can see I'm cutting, exactly on my line there. And after I cut these lines out, though, I don't have any more lines to follow. So it is quite a bit of freehand work, which is what makes it such a challenge, which is probably why I enjoy it so much. And on this prop, I really wish I would have put the Purple Heart on the face, but the way the lumber was planed, I had some rough spots that I had to cover up, and it just didn't work right. But I think it still turned out to be a nice prop. Although it probably is a one of a kind, because I did not enjoy working with the Purple Heart, and Katrina didn't either. She's the one that actually ended up sanding this out. I sanded the hub out and did a little bit of work with it, but she's the one that actually sanded the whole prop out. And so this is probably a one of a kind. But as you can see, I'm not removing as much material on this one as I did the last one. So this bigger hub and bigger prop is actually easier than doing those little. This is a 3 inch hub thickness, but they're actually quite a bit easier than doing it the other way. But this is just a detailed look of one part of the process. If you watch some of my other videos, you can see the entire process of how they're made, but this is kind of just a little spotlight video to give some up-close detail to how this part of the process is done.